Atlas Reactor can't seem to make up its mind, free-to-play or not. Paragon shifts into open beta this week with some epic new music and awesome skins. War Thunder completes its trifecta of war games with Knights of the Sea naval battles, and Path of Exile lets you go even more hardcore with the Atlas of Worlds expansion. What's up guys, James Ball here with your weekly recap for gaming news and announcements for the week ending August 15th, 2016. Starting out the news this week, we've got a really cool new map variant in Evolve Stage 2. The new map is called Cataclysm, and it's a variation of the orbital drill map that's been engulfed in hellfire and molten lava. The sky has been consumed with embers, soot, and smoke that could engulf the entire planet. Who knows? Once the hunt begins on this map, both hunters and monsters will see the damaging hellfire meteors falling from the sky, which are also accompanied by generous-infused meteors that will actually heal both the hunters and monsters on impact. So basically you want to get hit with the right rocks in this case. But besides the new map, as part of the ongoing Shear Madness update, the developers also added the new co-op matchmaking queue where you can play with your friends against an AI monster if you want to, without having to hope for this turning out on its own. Keep a lookout for more updates like this one coming to Evolve over the next several weeks. Next up, we see that Tryon might not be able to make up their mind with Atlas Reactor, or at least that's how it seems. The buy-to-play model may not be going so well, or not like they planned anyway, because now they have a free mode which lets players have access to a good portion of the game for free. With this free account, you'll have access to PvP and co-op queues, of course, all available maps in the game, daily contracts, and a couple other features. Unlike the full game, free mode players will only have access to freelancers that are on free rotation during that time. Other features limited to full game players only is ranked PvP access, custom match access, purchasing cosmetics with ISO, which is the in-game currency, and not being limited to how often they can open loot matrices. According to the official post, the best part of free mode is that you can get access to every single cosmetic item just by playing the game. And I would say the biggest drawback to free mode is not being able to unlock freelancers that you can play all the time without having to buy the full game. You're limited to the ones that are on free rotation. That kind of sucks. And there are a couple other drawbacks that make your head hurt about this system, but once you get past that, if you're wanting to play just casually with friends, I guess it's not all that bad of a setup. I mean, it's still kind of free. I still really don't see why they're trying to push this game as a buy-to-play game. I don't see the need at all, but the free mode is available to everyone as of now. I mentioned a few weeks ago that Dungeon Fighter Online made its way to Steam, but it is now officially launched from Steam Early Access. The Steam release includes Steam achievements, badges, and trading cards, plus special launch events and DLC packages. To celebrate the Steam launch, the DFO team has given newcomers some special buffs like Unlimited Resurrection, increased gold drop rate, bonus boss unique drop rate, and character stat boost for level 1 through 50 characters. Beyond that, they've also introduced a new character for Act 6 Part 1 known as the Demonic Lancer, along with his two advancements, the Skirmisher and the Vanguard. The Demonic Lancer is a melee fighter who is quite different than other melee classes in regards to his mid-range type abilities due to using elongated weaponry, hence the lance. As the Skirmisher, he engages in lightning-fast attacks and combos with his lance, leaving no openings for his enemies, favoring speed over defense. Now the Vanguard is just the opposite, sporting high survivability due to wearing heavy armor, engaging the battlefield with slow yet powerful AoE attacks. Look forward to the new character in-game on August 23rd. Also last week, the third and final closed beta stage began for Crush Online, a MOBA-inspired PvP MMORPG developed by Joy Impact. And this game takes the controls and skill sets typically found in MOBA games to a much larger scale by combining them with a persistent world and endless territory war between three factions. I mean, their slogan is, it's not just a match, it's a war, just to give you an idea. It's kind of ideal for those who ever wanted an MMORPG that had the feel of League of Legends when they played their character. Anyway, the final closed beta has added changes to make the castle siege and bosses more challenging, plus balanced achievements and weapon upgrades. The game's mastery system has been redesigned completely with new mastery trees for every class and limits on how many points you can actually spend in a single talent. These are just some of the major changes. There are plenty more. Check out their official forums for more info from the link in the description below. As a quick reminder, Area Games' new game Twin Saga is in its Founders Beta as of August 9th, which means, going off the history of Area Games, closed beta should be starting up like next week, with open beta to follow a few weeks past that. Now, I've heard from some people who opted into buying one of the 7 Founders packs that are available for the game that the game is surprisingly better than it looks and has been expected to be, which is news to me. That alone kind of made me feel a little bit better about trying it out. keep a lookout for closed beta keys at MMOHuts.com. They should be getting some really soon. Meanwhile, in Tera, typically when I say that, you expect something weird. Well, not so much this time. Just a new teaser trailer for the newly launched solo dungeon, Castle Aranya, for level 65 players. It's apparently not the most difficult dungeon in the game, so to speak, but it's no piece of cake either. And the enemies inside look fairly intimidating, if you ask me. The Barakas of High Watch have devised a way to journey back in time to observe and possibly influence events of great importance to the modern world. So with this dungeon, players actually get to witness the origins of an evil mastermind who is still plaguing the Valkyrian Federation today. Also nice to know, this update brought in 6 new flying zones, so now you can explore more with your flying mounts. I think players will like that. The update mentioned is now available in-game. Next up, we see the next expansion in the works for Black Desert Online, showcased at Gamescom 2016. This expansion is called Margoria, and it's focused around weapon awakening and naval content. And that's about all we know about it so far, unless we start digging into the Korean version of the game for details. Otherwise, we'll probably hear more about it later this week. My bet is that it will also tie into the Siege node system, which would be kind of cool. Other than that, news that came in earlier last week in the recent patch, Pearl items will be available on the marketplace. Now, this has started to stir up a little controversy in that people with a credit card can buy Pearl items for 20 to 30 bucks and go and then sell it on the market for 20 million silver, but at the same time, it does kind of open up cash shop items to non-cash shoppers. It's really hard to say at the moment that this will be a bad problem in the future, seeing that it hasn't really created any insane inflation in the market just yet. It's actually kind of balanced out. So it might actually be treated more like the cred feature in WildStar. So I'd say the only thing to be upset about for now is just the reminder that there's a freaking cash shop in a buy-to-play game. That alone is enough to make you cringe. Well, besides their coolest looking skin yet, Paragon dropped its 0.30 update this past week in preparations for open beta, free for everyone this week on August 16th, which is tomorrow. This update isn't that big, but it's got a little bit of everything, from new menu music to awesome new skins like Ruby Scare Grux, which is a tier 2 skin and also badass, Inquisitor Gideon, and even Fireball, Iggy, and Scorch. They've also updated Gideon's Cosmic Rift to launch a single meteor from the sky, just like I did in the launch trailer, changing the damage radius just a tad to match the new look and feel. Check out the blog site for the patch notes and look forward to playing the game this week. If you haven't already, it's definitely worth a shot, and there will be plenty of events going on as well. Good time to start playing. Just a brief update to Paladins this past week with Closed Beta 31. This patch introduces the rework of Glacier Keep, making it resemble the tighter quarter gameplay of the new Temple Isle map. Unfortunately, the gameplay got a little too fast-paced for the community based on feedback. Apparently, the new close quarters map style and layout causes champions' death rate to increase, so Drybear mentions that they'll be tweaking this in future patches. Honestly, the game is good and all, and it's really fun, but it just needs to figure out what the heck it wants to be and stick with it. I haven't lost faith yet. Another update in regards to Ark Survival of the Fittest announced recently. They're actually doing away with it as a standalone game. Instead, it will be packaged once again with the main game, Ark Survival Evolved, like it was back when it was a mod. Studio Wildcard originally decided to spin it off as a standalone game to not only draw in even more players than it already was, but to also make it a competitive game with cash prizes on a monthly basis. This apparently worked out really nicely for a while, but seeing that it was completely free to play, as in no cash shop items or anything like that, it wasn't making any money at all. In fact, it was costing quite a lot of money to maintain. I mean, if we consider the monthly cash prizes of tens of thousands of dollars alone, that's a big cost right there, not to mention the cost of the servers and keeping it all maintained. Studio Wildcard also said another main reason for rolling the two into one again was to ensure that the modders making new material for Survival of the Fittest have full, unrestricted access to Survival Evolved content. Which makes sense as well, and also shows that the game mode isn't going anywhere, it's just not going to be free anymore. Besides all that, the game is still doing really, really well, and like always I say it's well worth its price. I can't exactly say the same thing for No Man's Sky. I'm a little let down on that one. Now here's some news I wouldn't typically mention, but man, shots fired, kinda. At Gamescom this past week, War Thunder announces naval battles, giving players the ability to fight on the ground, air, and now sea with the direct stab at Wargaming's trifecta of the same style games. The participants of naval battles, upcoming closed beta, will be called Knights of the Sea. How prestigious. Made up of torpedo, artillery, and missile boats, Coast Guard vessels, and submarine chasers, they are the so-called small naval contingent that served in all the oceanic theaters of World War II. So it's definitely a different approach to the larger ships involved in World of Warships. For now, anyway. According to the post, their internal testing with larger battleships turned out to be too long and slow, so they decided to go with the smaller, much faster attack-based crafts. The testing phases of closed beta will start later this year, and all nations in War Thunder will get naval forces. Invited players and those who purchase one of 2 starter packs with unique ships will be able to join in the testing. So it seems like a really cool concept, and realistically, with the difference in ship classes between it and World of Warships, it still allows each game to stand alone and appeal to different types of players, or both at the same time. So I guess we'll have to see how it turns out. Check out more details in the site post linked below. And finally, last but definitely not least, Path of Exile revealed its next big expansion. As I mentioned, they plan to do every 6 months, with smaller Challenge League type updates happening in between. This time it's the Atlas of Worlds expansion that focuses on and revisits the in-game map system, turning it into a fully fleshed game world. So now the in-game maps no longer exist in an imaginary world known as in-game instance scenarios. Instead, Grinding Gear Games has taken inspiration from their iconic passive skill tree to create a world map complete with 4 starting points and an ultimate goal of battling to the center for greater and greater rewards. Kinda reminds me of the Ascension Atlas from Skyforge, I'm just saying. But it's more than just aesthetics. Atlas of Worlds has not only added 30 new maps to the set, they've also examined which of the existing maps were sort of subpar with the rest and rebuilt them from the ground up. They're still aimed towards the most hardcore players, that's for sure, but they also mentioned that the map generation and the bosses will be a totally new experience. This, along with the new multi-threading tech they're throwing in to up the performance tenfold, makes for another kick-ass expansion in my opinion, and I've only explained the gist of it. Be sure to check out the new trailer in the site post for more insight, but this new expansion itself is ready to launch on September 2nd. Anyway guys, that's about it for what I have in terms of gaming news this week. Thanks again for watching to keep up with the news here. Feel free to mention and discuss other cool news from the past week in the comments below. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with friends. And until next time guys, that's going to be it for me. I'm James Blonde. See you out there, gamers.